Hi everyone, and welcome back as I continue my review of Blake's 7 selected episodes, Season 3, Episode 2, Power Play. Avon and Dana have now teleported back up to the Liberator and come face to face with a Federation, heavy mob. It's the only way they can be described. First of all, they come face to face with Captain Del Tarrant. Then section leader Clegg and his cronies. They're taken to the flight deck for interrogation. Clegg demands they take a test to see if they be identified by Zen as members of Blake's crew, because they've identified this is in fact Blake's ship. Dana goes first. Obviously Zen does not react. Avon then makes a bit of a funny movement, suggesting he's going for a gun. There's a bit of a scuffle. Avon and Dana are rendered out cold and dumped into crew quarters. Meanwhile, on the planet Chenga, Villa has come face to face with one of the locals who helps him with his broken arm and tells Villa to be cautious because hunters are out. And these hunters are looking for Lon, who this gentleman is, on the planet Chenga. And they're looking for him for a very specific reason. Meanwhile, back on the Liberator, Avon and Dana come round. Avon is determined to retake the Liberator. So first of all, they break out of the compartment and they discover the guard outside has been stabbed in the back by his own knife. Clegg and Tarrant discover that Avon and Dana have escaped their quarters and a full-scale search is now underway. But Avon, being clever, decides to use areas of the Liberator, like service junction, inspection junctions, to hide out in and to crawl around into, basically just to get around the Liberator undetected. Meanwhile, on a hospital ship, Callie is on board the hospital ship. She has been injured, but she has been treated for her injuries. And unfortunately for Callie, the hospital ship is about to set down on a planet and pick up a passenger. A passenger that Callie would rather avoid, because that passenger is, yes, you guessed it, President Servalan, who basically starts making demands, saying, I want to speak to your captain, you are to escort me back to Terran Federation Empire space, and so on and so on. Typical Servalan. Meanwhile, back on the planet Chenga, Lon and Villa are being hunted. And Lon is knocked out by one of the hunters, and his associate picks him up and takes him away. Villa tries to follow, but he gets lost. Back on the Liberator, Avon has caused a diversion to the life pod section, where he's launched the life pod, but Tarrant is not falling for it. Clever move. Back with Villa, he now comes face to face with the high-techs, the hunters. And for some strange and very peculiar reason, they are very friendly towards Villa. very nice towards him. They feed him, they tell him all kinds of things, which obviously, well, you'll see as we go along. So, back on the Liberator, things don't add up for Avon. Avon cannot work out who killed the guard outside their quarters. And so he just surmises there may be somebody else on the Liberator. And on that note, Avon makes his way to the flight deck, stealthily, of course, to have a conversation with Zen to get an update on the remaining crew. And Zen informs him of their status, and Villa has been given top priority for pickup. Little does Avon know that Dana has been taken by Clegg. And when Avon returns back to the compartment, he is greeted by one of Clegg's men and Tarrant, and is told another Federation trooper has been killed. And Avon says, well, don't look at me. It wasn't me. Meanwhile, back on the planet Chenga, Villa has been checked in to the complex, and he comes face to face with Callie. It's a reunion. But little do they know that this place is not exactly very nice. Back on the Liberator, Tarrant spills the beans after overcoming Clegg's trooper by shooting him, and Tarrant says he's not Federation, and he just gives Avon all the info he needs. And unfortunately, one of Clegg's men is outside the compartment door. Avon and Tarrant rush out, but he got away, so he's informed Clegg, and Clegg, with Dana and the rest of his personnel, are in the teleport section, which is a very tricky place to be, because Avon doesn't want that area damaged. Clegg demands a meeting. Avon walks in, and obviously he's put Tarrant in the picture of what he's planning to do to trick Clegg, and it's exactly what the object is, to trick Clegg and overcome him and the rest of his troopers. Meanwhile, Serverland has a little chat with Villa and Callie, and basically tells them they've just walked into an organ bank where people like Callie and Villa are treated very nicely and then humanely put down, so their organs can be used in spare part surgery. And that, on that note, a very smug Serverland walks away, and Villa and Callie are assuming this is it. It's over. Back on the Liberator, Avon puts his little plan into action, and it works. It looks like he's tricked Tarrant to come on deck of the teleport section. It's not really that much of a plan if you think about it. Bit of a scuffle between Avon and Clegg and his associates, and eventually, basically, Avon, Tarrant and Dana have overcome Clegg and what remains of his crew just in time, as the Liberator has now entered orbit of the planet Chenga, just at the point when Villa and Callie have been processed for surgery, and they're about to be, well, put down, you could say. And lucky for them, they are both teleported back up to the Liberator just in time. Avon mentions who they are to Dana and Tarrant. And finally, Avon has 2 new crew members, Tarrant and Dana. And he basically instructs Zen that he should follow their orders and recognise their voice patterns, which they obviously feed into Zen. So, 3 of the original crew are now back on the Liberator with 2 new members of the crew. And that's where the episode ends. So, on to my final thoughts. Right, final thoughts on Power Play. Obviously, you've got 3 kinds of storylines going on here. Avon trying to get control of the Liberator, and Villa and Callie are out there, obviously waiting to be rescued by the Liberator, or more precisely Zen. I like the Liberator part of the story more. I like the skullduggery that goes on, and how Avon has overlooked something, and that what he's overlooked, which takes him by surprise, that of Del Tarrant, because obviously Del Tarrant doesn't fit in well with Clegg and his men of ruthless guerrillas, or as Del Tarrant says, they are a death squad, Federation death squad. And you can clearly see, though he's trying to bluff it out as being an officer, he's not quite there. There's something erroneous about his character, and obviously it all comes out towards the end of the episode. It's intriguing that Avon doesn't quite fathom that out, because Tarrant does stand out. He does. Rather intriguing, that. Anyway, as I say, the other 2 storylines involving Villa and Callie, they obviously dovetail together eventually, because Callie and Villa are reunited, and eventually by the end of the episode they are rescued from their, well, almost death situation which they were facing. And of course, Avon has now got 2 other on board, that of Tarrant and Dana, as crew members. And yes, it's Avon who's now in charge of the Liberator. But Tarrant can act like a bit of a thorn in his side as this goes along in season 3. Quite intriguing. So, no Blake, no Jenna. Well, Blake hasn't entirely gone. Blake is coming back, but not till the final episode of season 3. Yeah, it's a good one, Power Play. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think on that note, have a great day. Goodbye.